newer investors are in their plan and the way they've worked it out and how little thought they put into the hold part of buy and hold. We don't dream of being billionaires. We dream of if our kid calls us and says, hey, I need 10K and this would really make things easier, we can just do it. It's going great. I don't have a bleeding ulcer anymore. And he patted his stomach and he's like, I put on 20 pounds. And I'm just like, and that was like really a light bulb for me. Like, look at the quality of that man's life. And this was nothing to me. This was nothing. This was not a hard property management assignment.
Because who wants to really work at a property management company? I tell people all the time, this is a horrible business. Like, it is rough. So
especially if you're recruiting from outside the industry. And
yeah,
you
that's
were
it.
getting
Yeah.
these, I think as property managers, we have that perception problem. We do nothing besides a couple of us intrepid ones out there creating content to counteract it. We do nothing to build value in what we do.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Evernest Property Management Show. I am one of your hosts, Spencer Sutton, and today I'm flying solo, but that is okay. I have got a great guest with me today. I've got Jen Ruland, who is the broker owner of One Focus Property Management. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Spencer. Great to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you too. And I'm excited about this episode. We were just talking earlier about content and marketing and your passion for real estate and education in real estate. So I want to dive into that. But first, before we get in, I just want to give people a brief bio of what you've been up to. And so here we go. You've got over 20 years of experience. You've built a powerhouse company renowned for excellent service and maximizing investor profits. And I really think it's interesting that you focus, like your main focus is investors. So I want to get into that. And then, yeah, so I love this kind of this tagline. You have property management company that consistently delivers on its promise, more protection, less work, and no drama. And we all know that owning rental properties is a lot of drama, right? So welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Yes, there's a lot of drama, and that's the part I like about it. That's where the content comes from, right? The
That's
drama.
right. That's right. Well, that's the opportunity, right? Because when people start buying, I think, a lot of people get sold on the dream of owning real estate and they get sold on the idea of like, hey, I want to build long-term wealth. They don't really know what it means to manage properties. And so they go out there and maybe they go through a course, they learn how to buy rental property, they buy it, and then they kind of get punched in the mouth because there's a lot that goes into it. So
It is shocking how naive many and newer investors are in their plan and the way they've worked it out and how little thought they put into the hold part of buy and hold, or even any hold part in their journey. Maybe you buy a 4-unit, you've got to rehab 2 units, but you're going to hold and maintain the other 2, to even just diminish what it is to be a housing provider, what it is to have that responsibility. How do you deliver on that? And one way I bring clients or potential clients' attention to that, and I go, just imagine, right? It is 1 p.m., you're in your office, you're getting ready to go into your next meeting, and your phone rings and it's your tenant. And they said, hey, last night my spouse beat me severely. I just got out of the hospital, but I did get an emergency restraining order. So Mr. Landlord or Mrs. Landlord, I'm going to need you to change those locks and make sure spouse doesn't return to this property. And I say, maybe you're an orthodontist, right? You have meetings scheduled through the end of the day. You have all the desire in the world to be a good housing provider to this person, but you probably don't know there's a Violence Against Women's Act. You don't know what restraining orders look like. And you're also just really naive to how some of these things can be used to get you to do things that aren't right. I'm not saying that this person's trying to be tricky, but it is just a lot more complicated than that. And if you've never encountered it, you don't even know to prepare for it. And so what ends up happening is you make a mistake or you take a lot of time and you waste time and money in trying to figure it out. And that's what you're not thinking about. That's why the return is so high. Return and risk match. That's and right. That's what, when you pair with a great property manager, we take the terrific risk and return profile of real estate, yeah, we drop the return a bit because you got to pay the property manager, but you drop the risk significantly more. And that
Yeah.
gap is your opportunity for abnormal earnings. And that's where experience comes in, right?
Well, Jen, that's like what you just described right there. That is and if you're a property manager listening to this, that's a perfect marketing pitch right there. You want to like show them that, hey, you a lot of times you don't know what's coming. I mean, honestly, that was my story. I was wholesaling houses. I was flipping houses, and then I was just like, well, the natural progression is like going from wholesaling is going to buy and hold. And so I was buying them at such deep discounts. I bought my first package of houses. I bought 10 houses for $100,000, all 10 of them. And the landlord handed me at the closing, he handed me some keys. He didn't have any leases. He didn't have any security deposits. He barely had any kind of contact information. And so I had to go and figure all this out. And it was a nightmare. But the truth was, just like you're saying, I didn't prepare. Like I wasn't really prepared. And that's how a lot of people get into this business. And so if you're a really, really good property manager, you're absolutely doing people an incredible service by helping them avoid lawsuits, helping them understand resident relationships and how they should be run. So, Jen, let me ask you this. I know that you got started in multifamily. What attracted you to single family? Like, why did you decide, hey, either buy rental properties or I want to start a property management company?
Well, my story is I was in multifamily, so doing big, huge apartment communities, managing those in like the capital area of Pennsylvania, which is like South Central. And the housing crisis hit, and I ran to grad school. So lost my job, ran to
Mhm.
grad school, did finance, I did an MBA there in finance and real estate, and then I met a guy here in Williamsport, and I decided I wanted to be married, and we did do that. But that landed me in this tertiary market. So what attracted me to single family? Well, I was really attracted to buy and hold real estate into property management, and I was very good at property management. And as the story goes, I sent an email out to all these people on LinkedIn, agents, brokers, developers, anybody, and just said, hey, would you talk to me? One guy said yes, market leader for real estate sales in the area. And we partnered and made the property management company. And since then, I've bought them out. But what I found here, so what attracted me to single family versus multifamily? I do both here. I do small
Mhm.
multifamily and single family because that's what the market offers.
And by
Um,
small multifamily, you mean anything that doesn't have on-site management, right?
Anything that doesn't have on site,
Gotcha.
yes. I've
Yep.
done as large as like 50 doors.
Mhm.
Generally here, I think our biggest one right now is like 20, but it's 2 to 3 units. That's what we're doing most of here. Um, and so what I really found here was the difference is I'm working for people like Spencer. I'm not working for Evernest, right? Like with maybe these anonymous big pension fund or
Mhm.
partnership owners. Like once a year, guys in suits would come around and we would drive them around on the golf carts and show them the progress of the soccer field and did the pool need maintenance and all that kind of stuff. This was much more down and dirty. I was working with regular people, and what I fell in love with was how I was helping these regular people
Mhm.
build, as I always say, generational wealth, but I got to find another term for it because when I say generational wealth, people think I mean your kid's never going to work, right? Your
Mm.
kid's going to
Right.
be set for life and your grandkids. And this is part of that. I much more see in my clients' lives and in my life real estate playing the role for freedom, for economic freedom, to be
Yep.
free of abuse and free of situations you don't want to be a part of. So my parents' real estate when I was a younger professional allowed me to say to bosses, I won't be taking this treatment. I'll be moving on. Like, and I can do that with the freedom of knowing that I have this safety net that luckily I didn't need. And I see as I move on in my life, I say no to all kinds of things out there. I
Mm.
just said no to $1,000 a month. Like I could have done it in 4 hours on Zoom every month. It was $1,000. And I just turned it down because I'm very focused on what I want to do. And my real estate keeps me fed. Like
Mm.
my real estate, my property management business, I'm well fed. I don't need more. But I have this goal of working for these everyday investors. And I see them being able to do that, provide their children options, provide their children safety and security. And that's what normal people want. We don't dream of being billionaires. We dream of if our kid calls us and says, hey, I need 10K
Mm.
and this would really make things easier, we can just do it. That is what I found here. So I'm very attracted now. to these small markets, to these, really real investors, whether they be accidental or very purposeful. And I love making this possible for them. And that's where like my advocacy comes in and I do the content and stuff. It's really talking to that person.
Is this something that kind of grew in you as you started in the business, or did you know that like starting out and that's why you emailed everybody and went on LinkedIn, or was it like something you kind of discovered along the way?
I emailed people on LinkedIn because I understood real estate and I knew I was good at it. And so, in a position of postgraduate school, trying to start a family in a house here in a town, I liked the comfort of doing something I was comfortable with. And then the big revelation that came to me, and I had turned around multifamily properties before. I'd gone into places with low vacancy, bad collection rates, things like that, like bad budget performance. That's kind of how we would measure things. And I'd come in and be measured on how much I improved it. I didn't know that like my client Spencer with his 5 units was going to come to me in crisis every single time. Spencer doesn't call me because the rents are paid and he just would like 5 more hours a month to go skiing. Like that
Mhm.
was never it. People were never calling me going, "It's great. I could just use some more spare time." It's like if I don't get this rented in the next month, I'm gonna like lose this property, or my wife said I have to sell it. I mean, those were the things.
Yeah.
Or, they've gotten themselves into a pickle with like maybe a tenant who was non-compliant, and they're calling me instead of the lawyer. They're going, well, the lawyer's gonna charge me this much, you're gonna charge me this much. How and so they were coming to me in crisis, and I was stabilizing these things for them. And that developed so much trust. When you before they hire you, you can say, I understand where you're at. Here's the plan to get you out. Here's how long it's going to take, what I'm going to do, what it's going to require of you. I call it showing leadership through the sales process. And I love that with those clients to be able to take them from that point. So what I learned was they were going to come to me in that unstable position, and then just the impact. I remember the first client I signed for management, single family house. It was like 5 houses up the street from him. Most people wouldn't hire a manager. And he'd had it for like 25 years successfully. But a tenant of his had had a fire and it burned. He rebuilt it and he couldn't stomach, literally, he had a bleeding
Mm.
ulcer in his stomach, putting another tenant back in. So he hired us. A year later, he came in and he was heavier. And I didn't say anything, but I said, Eric, how are you? How's it going? And he goes, it's going great. I don't have a bleeding ulcer anymore. And he patted his stomach and he's like, I put on 20 pounds. And I'm just like, and that
Wow.
was like really a light bulb for me. Like, look at the quality of that man's life. And this was nothing to me. This was nothing. This was not a hard property management assignment.
Right.
And it just taught me, wow, what a change for him. And this empowered him. He would have sold that property. He
Isn't
would have
that
sold it.
isn't that interesting? Like you, and I'm guessing early on in the early days, you were taking all these owner calls, right? So they're calling you before they had a property manager. Maybe they're in crisis, got a bleeding ulcer. I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. And like, more in your pinky than they ever have known. And you're able, even on the phone, just to diagnose and, like, to your point, lead them like, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. I found that because I started doing that here at Evernest. Like I came in and I was leading marketing and sales, but we had to let our salesperson go. So it was just me taking phone calls, but it was fantastic because I was like, okay, I've been an investor and now I'm able to talk to these people. I know exactly what they're going through. I had a lot of empathy, but I could also help them avoid massive, massive mistakes. So, is that what you were doing or like early on? You were taking just phone calls. Is that how you all grew early on? How did you get people to call in and grow your business early on?
So there was a market condition that went on. So I was
Mm,
at like 100 doors inside of 4 months. It was very quick. It answered a void in the market. But, and really from one article, we had one article in the local paper, new property
mm,
management company, and I was at 100 doors very quickly. But what was going on is we had oil and gas activity. So hydraulic fracturing or
mhm.
fracking, the Marcellus Shale formation that's here over Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, the base of operations really is out of my home market here, Williamsport. And so we had a lot of driller activity and things, which made owner occupied go rental,
Mm.
made rents go up, brought people in from outside the market, brought in outside investors. There was a lot
Yeah.
happening. And it just created a lot of need for management. And then, of course, once the area was introduced to professional management, because all that existed before, and really besides me, even now, is realtors who do it as a sideline. So there's a
Wow.
realtor out there who will take your rent check, who will call you when there's a plumbing problem, who will call you and suggest, well, what do we do? Johnny didn't pay rent. He said he'll have it next Tuesday. Like, I call that the relay service, not what we're offering. We're offering a professional management solution where we tell you what's happening and report to
Mhm.
you, but not necessarily ask you to help. And so when the market saw that, I mean, they really caught on. And over 13 years, we've gotten a lot pickier and a lot clearer about who our clients are and the kind of properties we manage are. And that's been really cool to like finesse that and then get scale through being consistent, not having exceptions. It's cheaper to not have exceptions.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're now at 600 doors, and
Yeah.
you started out, you had that first 100. I'm imagining, and this is what I tell property management owners when they call me and they're asking about like growing their business. I'm like, listen, if you're brand new, if you're below 100 doors, you don't have anything to do. You should be like you can market all day long. You should be having like conversations with realtors all day long, developing those relationships, creating content, which I know you and I are both passionate about, which we're going to get into. Um, how did as you grew that door count, at what point did you stop maybe managing just kind of based on instinct and like, hey, I know exactly what's going on. I know all these doors because I know all the owners, and to oh my goodness, I need to have systems and processes in place. I see the book Traction behind you. I'm guessing you're running EOS. And
We
so
are.
at what point did you go, I need some systems in place, and so walk me through that experience.
2012, like the end of 2012,
Mhm.
we started it till the end of 2016. I got to like 250 doors, me, a full-time person and a part-time person. The genius with many helpers model, right?
Yeah.
Exactly what you painted. I touched everything. And then I acquired a 500 door company. So
Mm.
I jumped in the beginning of 2017 and I thought I had a plan. Oh boy, did I think I had a plan because I had run that many doors before. I thought it was a question of running the doors and not running the company.
Mm.
And because I'm a property management guru, I
Yeah.
love managing properties. Running property management companies has been a learning curve for me, and I admit that. So that year of 2017, I struggled. At the beginning of 2018, I was burnt out big time, not super successful, had lost a couple, like two or three big clients out of that new portfolio at the end of their contracts and I had an embezzlement all within like two
Mm.
months. And then that's where traction came in the beginning of 2018. I got my stuff together, got serious about process at the end of 2018. And then in 2019, implemented EOS and have been an EOS company ever since. So for me, I got to that point where, and honestly, what made me do that, I thought I was going to get out. I thought I wasn't cut out for this,
Mhm.
but I needed to sell it off. And in order to sell it off at a price that made sense, I needed processes. I needed to get my KPIs in order. The NARPM accounting standards had just come out. I realized I did not fare well in that measurement. And so I really buckled down on all that. And in the process of implementing EOS and doing all this, fell back in love with my business. We're not for sale. Um, and it's led me to now this next goal, right? Where I have this healthy business. I don't want to grow much bigger, maybe 800 doors, whatever. Because once you get north of 800, you start needing middle management. And it's really much more a function of what kind of team I want to work in here versus my revenue or what size business I want. I don't want middle managers and all that. So that's what's limited me there. I'm not growing geographically. I have this vision, and I've been saying this for a very long time when it was fully delusional. I want to be the Susie Orman of rental
Mm.
real estate,
Mm.
speaking to women about the power of buy and hold real estate and how to actually execute on the hold part. Right. Because if you look into real estate investment, into buy and hold and that sort of thing, there's a lot of talk on how to find deals, work
Yep.
deals, finance deals. And then it's just these lines on a spreadsheet. Nobody ever stands there with a tractor trailer full of vanities and toilets and 30 doors and have to make them go in there and work. Right. Like I always
Yeah.
say that, like some guy in a navy blue suit wrote a spreadsheet, and then there's a property manager with 300 units and two tractor trailers of
Mhm.
toilets going, well, how does this work? I
So
mean, there's
true.
just a really real element to that.
Yeah.
And that's my specialty is that really real part. Yeah.
Well, as you grew, like you had this acquisition of 500, um, what had to change about who you were to go from, hey, I'm a genius with several helpers to leading a team and like developing your team?
Process was a big part of that. So
Mhm.
committing to a process. I'm famous for like, just let me hear it. And then like, I'm going to sense it with all the different factors and give you a custom solution. And the truth is, sometimes that's needed and sometimes that's not. And most of the time it's not, very rarely is that custom approach needed and I can trust my team. So doing that, um, getting dedicated to processes and then adhering to them. I'm the worst at adhering to the processes. I probably have the least process compliance out of the whole company, but that's visionary stuff, right?
Right.
And then getting the right people on the team and getting really honest about our core values, what that looks like, how. And truthfully, we got much more successful at employees when we got me out of the recruiting,
Mhm.
interviewing, and managing. I
So
have
you
two
so you
direct
don't so you
reports.
don't do that right now. You're not the one hiring people. You have entrusted that with
No,
with
and they
other
start
people.
sticking around now that I don't do the hiring. We're having much better retention. Yeah, I have two direct reports, my director of operations and my executive assistant, and I don't interview anymore. Now, if we were bringing on a leadership team member, which we haven't done since Jen's been banned from hiring, I'm sure I would be part of it, but I would be the part that sells the vision. Like I talk people into working here. That's my best skill.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Not good at evaluating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I think that's a really, really important skill because in the early days when Matthew and I were doing a lot of hiring, when we felt like we had somebody that we thought, "Hey, this could be an incredible person to have on the team," we had to sell the vision, right? Because who wants to really work at a property management company? I tell people all the time, "This is a horrible business." Like, it is rough. Um, so
Especially if you're recruiting from outside the industry. And you
yeah,
were,
that's
you
it.
were
Yeah.
getting these
Yep.
different roles that don't really exist in most management companies.
Well, early on, we were promising these young people, we were like, we have Gray Hall here, and Gray's, I don't even know what his title is, VP of something, property management. But when he was like brand new, we were sitting across the table going, Gray, we have this idea that we're going to grow this thing. Maybe we were at 1,000 doors. I don't know how big we were. We were small and smaller back then. And we said, we're going to send you to run a market somewhere. And so we were trying to paint this picture and we didn't even believe it, honestly. Like, we didn't even know if it was gonna happen or not. We were just kind of hoping we could sell the vision, so but it's an important part of it. What's
Back
been
in the beginning of your podcast, I took a lot of that from you all talking about selling the vision.
mm,
And I invested some time and energy into how to talk about my vision to people
yeah, that's
to
good.
make it
That's good.
compel and get people to follow me. Because if I'm a leader, I got to get you to hitch your wagon to me.
What's the hardest thing about leadership that you've discovered?
Oh gosh, the people.
Mm,
Like,
mm.
and I think that comes with being a visionary, with being like a high A kind of person. I have an extreme culture index profile
What
for
is your
being a
profile?
visionary. I'm a trailblazer.
Oh, trailblazer, I love it.
A
Oh
trailblazer.
my word. Yeah. You
Yeah.
wanna
And
you
I'm a
wanna
smart
win.
cookie.
You wanna
I'm a
win.
smart cookie and I'm a trailblazer. And so people have been the hardest part. And that's where I've finally been able to like embrace my true talents, is because the people part of my business is being handled by my director of operations, my leadership team in such a good way. I got to tell you how many times they come to me and say, X happened. And then I'm so quick, I'll be like, okay, so this is what I would have done. And they'll say, and then we did Y. I'll be like, well, that's better. That's a better choice than I would have come up with.
Well, tell me more about your vision to be a like a major like and you're not talking about in your market, you're talking about nationwide. You have this vision to become an educator
There's
in this
two,
process.
yeah, there's so when I think about my clients, right? Like if you're my community and you're like one of my friends and you're like, wow, Jen's been talking about this. It sounds interesting. I'm gonna look it up. There's two big voids out there. One, there's not many women talking about it. And when
Mhm,
women are talking about it, they talk about flipping, they talk about wholesaling, they talk about these other non-tenant businesses. And the other void is that we don't talk about the hold. We talk and buy and hold, and then it's just like a spreadsheet, 20-year graphs. And there's a lot of stuff, gross stuff that happens
mhm.
on that graph that needs to be talked about. And that's what puts people out of it, right? And they don't accomplish their goals financially. And so I recall Susie Orman. She was so powerful with personal finance education, and she had a real take on this. And for And think about it. There's all different kinds of people out there. There's people when they see Susie, they're like, I resonate with that. Other people resonate with like a Dave Ramsey, and that's fine. I want to put another face out there talking about things the way women do. So it's not that I'm talking about this working differently than it does for men. Not at all. I'm just
Right.
using vocab, my lady face, and maybe my like feminine values, and in a perspective where women can just align with it better, more closely. So it registers with them more. And so I imagine being able to really illustrate through various means. I would love to have a reality show about the property
Mhm.
management industry, talking about the way we solve the very real problems of being a housing provider. What does it take to make investments make money, which is absolutely necessary in a capitalistic
Yep.
economy? It has to make money in order to be successful, in order to provide the services that the tenants need. And that's complicated and of so much interest right now, right? Because we've got housing affordability
Correct.
problems.
No.
I would love to show people what our business really does and the values that we provide to everybody, to all of the stakeholders in this situation. And I think it's interesting. I think it's compelling. I think it's entertaining. And I think it's super educational to everybody. And by the way, how great for property management companies to have that kind of an example out there. I'm going to roll it back. Do you remember the show? It was either called Airline or Airport. This would have been in the mid aughts, and it followed Southwest employees,
Mm-mm.
different departments, right? So it was a reality show, and they were in like 3 or 4 different airports, and it would be the baggage crew, the people that check you in, the flight crews, all these people, and they would just show their day, whether they were interacting with drunk passengers or figuring out the overbooked flight or Janice's retirement party. It was entertaining. You got to know them as people. And I'll tell you, when I walk through the airport, I think about that show, and it's been
Mm.
20 years. And I think about the feat that these people are pulling off, the
Yeah.
major feat. Even if I'm frustrated and uncomfortable and unhappy with whatever's going on in the airport, I look at these people and go, wow, they're real people doing really good work. They're working really hard. And I have some sympathy. And I think as property managers, we have that perception problem. We do nothing besides a couple of us intrepid ones out there creating content to counteract it. We do
Mhm.
nothing to build value in what we do. We really count on you, like, sign us up and then you'll see. Let's find a way to show
Yeah.
them what that value looks like. Maybe that investor who goes, well, I'm going to go buy that 2 unit this year and I'm going to hold it and I'm going to manage it myself. I'm just going to use some online something that costs $5 a month, and that's going to take care of all the problems. Maybe they could watch something that would educate them to go, maybe not. Maybe I could do better. And then I don't lose money. And by the way, when investors lose money, they don't treat tenants well. So there's like casualties to their failure.
That sounds like I love that idea. I think it could be very successful. I mean, what do you
You want to
need?
finance it?
Yeah, of course, of course. We're building a media
Thanks. Here for the
company.
blank check.
Let me talk to Matthew. Matthew, uh, I do. I really love that idea because what do you have to make something entertaining and engaging for somebody to watch it, whether it's YouTube or some other TV show? You have to have some type of drama. And there is drama in this business, right?
There's so much. And the
There's so
only
much.
thing that our business has ever given to like entertainment is the evictions. And
Correct. Yeah.
I hate that. I hate the live eviction scenario. It's just disrespectful. There's a way to tell these stories without being disrespectful
Hmm.
to the people and what's going on in their lives. And listen, I know that's like the low hanging fruit. I love me some live PD too. I love cops. I love conflict. But I don't think that these people in these situations deserve to have that. But by the way, there's so much juicier stuff.
Hmm.
Literally juicy, disgusting, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt there is. We were just talking. Well, we've been looking at a bunch of YouTube videos in the real estate space, and what are the ones that get the most views? They're the ones with squatters. So back to your point about evictions and squatters. Yes, they're drama, and it is a part of owning real estate. It's in some form or fashion, but you're right. There's a lot of other things to talk about.
A great one is like, what do you do when the water authority sends you a $6,000 bill on
Mm,
your 2 unit with
mhm.
literally this is explanation? We thought there was a problem with the meter a while ago. Turns out there was. This is what we would have billed you. Now, if you're just a regular, say you're like, again, you're the orthodontist and you have this rental property, how much time and energy are you going to put into this? How are you
Yeah.
going to solve this? We solved it, but we know how to use certified mail. We know the Public Utility Commission's address. We're nagorific nags. We'll get it handled. And we
Right.
did. And we solve it. But like, there's all kinds of drama in this business.
That kind to me, it all comes down to focus. And you mentioned focus earlier. Like you want to be focused. You like people will ask you to do things, but you want to be focused. It's the same thing with the orthodontist. Like you go do what you do and be great at it and let us handle this kind of junk. You're getting paid certain dollar per hour. You can work it backwards. Listen, it's much more affordable for you to let us handle it than you to be chasing this stuff down yourself.
Well, yeah. And as we start talking about developing content, I'm doing that calculation quite often. Here's the value of my
Mm,
time and energy in my business and toward my goals. And then here's how much it's going to take me to figure out how to do email campaigns.
yeah.
And I got to hire that out. YouTube optimization. I got to hire all this out. I'll create content all day. But you're right. Our clients, and some of them get it immediately. And that's why they're seeking out property management. Others, like I said, are seeking us out in crisis. They see us as an answer to the crisis. And then once it's remedied, how do I get out of this? Because they don't see the ongoing
Yeah.
value.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's talk
yeah.
about content since you brought it up. And that's why I reached out to you on LinkedIn and just said, "Hey Jen, I'd love to have you on the podcast. I saw some of the content you were putting out, very real, very raw. You are who you are, I think. Like that's the feeling I got. You're very authentic, very genuine. Talk to me about the opportunity because I'm always telling other property managers, if you're not creating content, video content of some kind. I mean, we do audio obviously with a podcast, but if you're not creating content, you're missing it. Like there's so much because your competition is not doing it. So why do you believe so strongly in content from a marketing perspective for your business?
Okay. So there's two things to know. One, we do business with people we know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
Easy enough, right? And so if we think about when I know you, maybe you're a lead. When you like me, you're a prospect. And when you trust me, you're a client. So if we think about know, like, trust, it's almost like the new client journey. Then the other thing we need to know is that human beings have had 150,000 years of learning how to communicate with faces, voices, and hands.
Mm.
We've gotten really good at it. Our brains are super optimized. 5,000 years ago, we invented the written language. So 150,000 versus 5,000. By the way, humans have only had widespread literacy for 500 years. So maybe our brains aren't really all that good on getting and retaining information via copy or building relationships, but we're really good at doing this with our faces, our voices, and our hands, right?
Yep.
And the light bulb for me was when I think my director of operations, who was a BDM at the time, said, because I said, I don't know, like we were talking about sales, and I was like, if I'm in front of them, I sell them. And if I don't get them, it's because I don't want them, right? Like literally, I said that. And she's like, okay, so we got to figure out how to put you in front of more people at a time and like leverage this. And that was the aha to me to be like, get on video. So, and to your other point, our industry is so backwards, so afraid of their own face, they don't get it. They don't get that this is just a camera in front of what they're already doing every day. They're having these conversations every day, one-on-one. They're doing them repeatedly. And so video is great. Video gives you a ton of opportunity, particularly if you're bold enough to put it out there publicly. And by the way, my discovery call. So what I do at One Focus now is I am the BDM. That
Okay,
is
so you're
my
selling
only.
right now.
Yeah, we don't do the BDM anymore. I'm doing it. This is the thing I want to be doing in the
Mhm.
business. But my discovery calls are more like me interviewing them because they know, like, and trust me already.
Yeah.
They've already interacted and built a whole relationship and set of expectations based off of our video content and marketing. Now they're in my inbox and I can tell if they've watched or not. Like, I can just tell by the way they talk. Like, oh, do I have to have a normal discovery call here or am I kind of interviewing them? But for the most part, I'm interviewing them. I get the property visits I want. For the most part, I get all the doors I want. I'm pretty happy about that. It's changed that whole dynamic where I could be the BDM forever. I am not your BDM who's like, following up 20 times. I mean, I'm the owner broker of the company. I don't
Mhm.
bring that kind of energy to it. I bring an arrogance. I count on that to carry me through. Right. And I think
We
a
we
lot of
call we
folks,
call that confidence. We call that confidence.
and I call myself wildly arrogant, which is fine. On this one thing, I
Yeah.
deserve it. This is well earned on buy and hold in North Central PA. Everything else is questionable. And so it's really changed that for me. Now, practically speaking, if you're a property management company owner listening to this, I don't think you should turn the camera around, pause this, turn around and make a content video. I think, and what I talk to property managers about is start in your operations. Start just eliminating repetitive conversations. And two, that I did in the first year I started making videos in 2019 was how to get your full security deposit refund back, right? Because everybody's got a question. When is it coming back? How's it coming back? How do you decide? We did a video in a house, taking them through the house, going, all right, this is all the stuff we're going to look at. Here's what charges are going to look like. This is not your house. Figure it out, right? And the other one was what's a preventive maintenance visit? Tenants weren't used to that. Maybe they had never lived in a place with that, or we had taken it over. And it was that friendly. Because here's the thing, we have those conversations every day. Property managers, tenant relations managers are having them. And sometimes they're a delight and they're the right pitch and the right language. And other times I haven't eaten in 8 hours. I'm late for my ciggy break. And you get a maybe more curt version
Yeah.
of the message I would like you to get. And that was something I saw a huge impact on right away. Here's the thing, your first 100 videos are going to suck, but they're not useless. So you can have a sucky video that talks about security deposits or preventive maintenance visits or maintenance bill backs or whatever. You can have that provide a higher level of service to your people and still not have an incredibly great video. And then you mature in your videos, you get better at eye contact, you get better at putting your thoughts together, producing them, and over time you can start making these things more public. As long as you're you, don't get a lot of equipment. I talked to so many people at National, they said, well, I ordered all things to, and I'm like, what things did you order? And they're like, well, I got a TV and I got a backdrop and I got lighting. And I'm like, brother, stand in front of the video and use your phone. Like, start there because you don't need a lot of stuff. Being authentic, being real. Like, I sometimes do videos without makeup on because I want people to see me in all
Yeah.
different kinds of ways. I'm a
That's
real
right.
person really doing this. And that's what I want to put out there. So you talk about being authentic. That's just come with
Mhm.
time. All of us are authentic all the time in our whole lives. I just have built the skill of being authentic on video, um, being free to be me, to make mistakes, to act silly, act stupid, make a funny face, all that. By the way, everybody gives you so much permission for that. Nobody thinks you're Mel Gibson. Nobody was mistaken to think that you are Jane Pauley or Savannah Guthrie. Like nobody expects that. And if you were, that would be creepy, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that
Right.
be creepy?
Yeah, it would be. I mean, if you think about
Yeah.
it, if you go back, you can go back and look at a lot of people's videos when they first started. People that you know now who are great content creators in whatever industry, you can go back and look at some of their very first stuff and they all make fun of it. They're like, "Hey, this is how bad it was at the very beginning." But again, it's the commitment to keep going. The problem is a lot of people put that camera up and they look at that first video or the first 10 videos and they're like, "These are horrible. I'm so embarrassed. What if people what if my competition sees this? They're going to make fun of me." There's all kind of stories that we tell in our head. I remember because I went right into sales when I was here at Evernest in the early days, and I was having all these conversations. I was getting tired of it. Really, I was just like, "They're the same conversations with the out of state investor, and I need to figure out a way to have not have this same conversation. It's Groundhog Day. It's driving me crazy." And so I started creating content. I just started recording video. And so Matthew and I started a video series back when we were GK Houses, and we called it Questions Owners Ask. And so all we did was just take one question, and it would be a 2 to 5 minute video, and we would sit there and answer the question. We started putting that into our marketing drips and all that stuff. But there's a massive difference between a lead that you get on the phone with that hasn't looked at, read, consumed any content versus someone who has consumed the content because
Yep.
they're essentially landed to your point when you were like, well, I'm just really screening them, figuring out if I want them. They already come in sold. And so it's just a great opportunity to build rapport, answer any kind of follow up questions, but they already believe you. They already trust you. It's to that, it's, attention all the way down to trust. And that to me is the beauty of content marketing, especially video.
So many benefits, right? I think I have less bad discovery calls. You know, that discovery call with the owner who wants to pick their own tenant, do their own maintenance, all that stuff. If you watch any of my content, you do not get the vibe that I'm the concierge property manager. You know this. I talk about it being a system and we've got to shave the rough edges off to put you in and how we do that. So I'm not having as many discovery calls. I'm having higher quality. Now, when I make video and I put it on my website and on my social media, my time on site grows. My visitors grow because I'm using video to answer those questions, so I'm getting more leads. My best series is How to Evict in Pennsylvania. So it's a 4-part video series, point by point. I hold up the form like, this is how we do it. I'm not telling you how to do it. This is how we do it. Check this box, write this on this line. And I get so much feedback from that. And so something I heard from property managers at the convention was, yeah, I'm not focused on growth this year or this, that, and I go, listen, if you're not using video, you have to start today. And if you're not focused on growth, it's probably because you're focused operationally. Use the video operationally. Get the benefit. It costs you nothing. We're spending $5 a seat on freaking everything. This is
Right.
nothing. As long as you can figure out how to record it, upload, download, get a link, all of this is free and you can work this into your operations. Here's the deal. As AI grows, as everybody can do more with less, this authenticity, this relationship, this representation of what we do as a company gets more and more important. So I'd say, like, you're a little behind. You need to work on it now. And if you're not worried about growth because you're like, oh, I can't handle anymore, get this stuff out there, because when you do decide to turn on the new door, open up the new door, like, at least the demand is there and you don't have to build it up. I know I was kind of at that point pre-COVID, and then COVID saw a lot of churn for many of us. We saw sell-offs. Gosh, I got really motivated to do video during that time. Do I wish I was motivated prior to that? Certainly. But you can do it now. Be consistent and be fearless. For those property managers who get an anxious reaction, right? Like, they're like, I hate the look of my face, the sound of my voice. I prescribe exposure therapy. So maybe you have a best friend or a sibling or your husband or whoever that you text all the time. Instead of texting them, saw a great new car, it was only $50,000 and da 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 da, make a video message and send it to that person and watch it. Now, listen, does this person need a video message? No, this isn't about that. This is about practicing, having a thought, delivering it, watching it, not freaking out, teaching my nervous system. Nothing happened. No tiger attacked me. I'm actually fine. And then it will get easier. The more and more you do this and practice this. So if you're not even ready to make a video for your business, start making videos in your personal life. Do FaceTime, camera on every meeting, because there's nothing wrong with your face and there's nothing wrong with your voice. I promise you.
Yeah,
Nothing.
that is an absolute great point. People always say, when is the best time to invest in real estate? Well, it's today. And like, there is no bad time. Same thing with creating content. To your point, like, just start. Even if you're not focused on growth, it's yes, operationally, but you can cut down your discovery call times and discovery call. Like, there's so many things that content can help you do, but you have to start. And I also, when I talk to PMs, I also talk to them and just say, hey, listen, the truth is, if you're in a market and let's say you have 10 competitors, you're probably going to be the only one who does this. And you can, if nobody else is doing it, you can build this moat of helpful content that people will resonate with. And I promise you, like, they will choose you over your competition if all things are equal and they're going onto people's websites and they see a video series on evictions or something else that you've created. Absolutely, they're going to resonate with that and probably pick up the phone and call you more than they will your competition.
Only 1 in 4, 25% of property managers in like the NARPM strata are using video for their listings, which
Mm.
why that isn't 100%, I don't know. Between 5 and 10% are doing any kind of public facing video. And
Wow.
you and I are out there on the interwebs. I'm looking. We know it's a handful. We can name
Hmm.
them who's
Hmm.
doing content. And we're not even all doing it to the same audiences. Some of them are doing it to property managers, some are doing
Right.
it to investors on their local market. I'm doing it on like a national scale or trying. Like there's all kinds of, but there's only like a small handful of us.
That's right.
Um, it's,
So it's
I
wide
don't
open.
understand why.
So it's wide open. That's the point.
And you
It
don't have to be that good.
You don't have
Me
to
and
be good.
Sarah Hatch presented at National. She talked specifically on building like
Okay.
content on TikTok. And
Mhm.
I talked more generally about using video. And I said to her, are we nuts? We're out here, blue sky, doing anything we want. Everything we put out there is great because we're not competing against anyone else. I said, we need to rethink this, how generous we're being. But the truth is, for our industry, for those in NARPA, for those at the top of the industry, I think it's important we do it because we have a perception problem. We
Mhm.
need to show that property managers are professional. There are professional ones who do terrific work,
Yeah.
who can be counted on because there's so many out there who can't be.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Well, Jen, this has been great. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your passion, and I'm going to be looking. I want to remember when you told me that your big goal is to be what's her name, Orman,
Susie
Susie
Orman.
Orman, the Susie Orman. I am going to remember this because I believe you're going to do it. I really do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's called Hold It with PM Jen, and that's the name of the website and the platform. And what I did this year was I booked. So I used to host a real estate investor meetup here for the last couple of years. I changed the venue because our attendance was getting so great, and then the attendance plummeted. And I got in my feelings about it. And every time I would go out of town and like speak at their real estate investor meetup, it'd be this like lively, diverse crowd, and like it was. And mine was just so bleak. So I, in the middle of the year, was like, I canceled the rest and I did a speaking tour. I'm calling it My Town Doesn't Deserve Me, so I'm coming to yours speaking tour. And I've been to like 7 different REIs across Pennsylvania so far. I'll do another one or
Wow.
two yet this year. And then about like 15 podcasts plus 2 seasons of my podcast. So this year was the year of get out there, do some stuff, do some reps. Next year, I'm looking to take that speaking tour more national to investor groups nationally, investor conferences. So I'm looking to get booked at those and
Awesome.
start just building my first keynotes in January. So I'm excited about that. But what people really seem to get from me is the empowerment, the motivation, the nuggets of like education. And that's what I seek to do is
Mm,
influence on a mass level. I'm not going to be doing coaching and consulting like one-on-one and stuff like that. That's really the one focus business is doing that here. But I'd love to have programs or shows that just
mm.
show people how this works. And so I'm figuring it out. This isn't like you get discovered by HGTV anymore and go to the big city and sign a
Right.
big contract. This is like I hire a camera crew and
That's
start
right.
producing something and put it on YouTube. And
Yep.
that's what I'm looking to do. And so, industry people who are listening, if you've got just a lot of cheddar banging around in your checking account and you think I'm a saucy little minx and you want to get together and do something, I have like an image of what this would be like. And
Yeah.
I'd love to get an industry partner. I think NARPM should do it. I think one of
Mhm.
our vendor partners could do it and really start to educate folks on what this is about. And, pick some of our characters from the industry and
Yeah.
start showing what we do day to day and how we solve these problems and what it takes and the impact it has on their lives. We just got to show both sides of this. The landlords are hiding from the conversation and the tenants are talking about it.
Yeah.
The landlords need to join the conversation and explain where they're coming from and what demands they're trying to meet as well.
I love it. What is the website again? Hold it with Jen PM?
Hold it with PM Jen, property
Hold
manager Jen. So
Hold it
hold
with
it with
PM
PM
Jen.
Jen on all the platforms.
All right, we will put that in the show notes. Go and check it out, everybody. And again, I look forward to watching this. This is going to be fantastic. And best of luck to you, Jen. And thanks
Thank
for
you. And other
yeah,
property managers, start making video and let me see it so I can
please
follow
do.
you.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you start making it, reach out to us. Show us what you're doing. Like 100%. I love to talk about this stuff and I know Jen does as well. So if we could ever be of any kind of help, I just recorded an episode with Mark Ainley. Mark Ainley is big in obviously content creation. He's always helping other property managers figure this out. So reach out to us. All right.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. That is it for this episode of the Evernest Property Management Show. We will be back next week with a new episode. Bye, everybody.